What if you won $1 million? What if you won a few $1,000s? How would you spend that money? How many different nonprofits, how many different animals, how many different individuals who are doing meaningful work would you give some of that money to? If you're anything like me, and I know a lot of our audience members here, they are do-gooders. They have committed their lives, or they have committed part of their lives to making the world a better place. So something I want you guys to think about now is, what if you won big? What if you won some kind of lottery, some kind of reality show, hint, hint, and you had the opportunity to take some of your winnings and use that to make the world a better place? Something to think about. I don't know about you guys. I think about that like every 1 to 2 days. So why am I asking you that question? It's very simple. Today we are welcoming Jay Patterson to the podcast. Jay is a fantastic volunteer with the Street Dog Coalition in Topeka, where Jay brings laughter and kindness to their work with street dogs and their guardians. So not only is Jay a beacon of humor, and I'm not gonna lie, I wrote this before meeting Jay. And now that Jay and I have been talking for a few minutes off camera, I can say this with assurance. Not only is Jay a beacon of humor and compassion, but Jay also generously donated part of her winnings from the Trust reality show to support the cause that Jay is so passionate about, the Street Dog Coalition. So we're going to hear a bit about Jay's heartwarming story and some of her insights, Mama Jay, if you will, some of her insights on the human-animal bond and Jay's exciting adventures in the world of reality TV. Welcome to the podcast, Jay.
What an introduction. I loved it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm Jay or Mama Jay.
Mama
It
Jay.
just depends where I'm at.
I'm so grateful to have you here, Jay. You clearly have such a passion for animals, a passion for people, a passion for life, if you will. And maybe you can get us started by sharing with us. I mentioned that you are a volunteer with our Topeka team, just one of the many things on your totally awesome resume. What drives your passion for assisting animals in need? And can you maybe, before we start talking about the goods, the reality TV experience, can you maybe share a memorable moment with us that maybe came from volunteering with the Street Dog Coalition?
I can. I was very new. It was probably okay. My first day, my first volunteer it was so hot. It was dangerously hot. People ended up in the hospital. It was brutal, right? So that was my first. But I had this little puppy, and its mother was kind of having an issue over here. So I had this little puppy trying to keep him cool, and he was so cute. And so then my next experience, the 2 weeks later, a lady came in and her little dog had been spayed, but it got infected. Well, her love and this dog was so precious. Well, they had to take the little dog into the van, the veterinarian van, to kind of, look her over and stuff like that. Well, so she was so sad, and so she had to walk away and go get something to eat. When that dog came out and I went to get her, if you could have heard that dog and her, I can still cry. It was so precious and loving. And it's like that's all she had in her world. And she thought maybe she wasn't going to have her anymore. And that was when I really saw how important the unsheltered and their pets are.
Mm.
You could hear, we were outside in the parking lot. If you could have heard that dog, it was just incredible.
That
How
bond
happy.
is so
Oh,
strong and so relatable. I know you mentioned you also have some critters at home, so I so appreciate you shining a light on that, because sometimes, and we've mentioned this in other podcast episodes, we because we have a roof over our heads, we forget how similar we are in terms of our interests, our needs, our the way we, thrive with connection to an animal, how similar we are to people who just so happen to not have a home at this, or a house rather, at this point in life. So, wow, that seems to have really struck a chord with you. And now
It
me.
did. It did. Yeah. Oh, it was just so heartwarming. And I'll be honest, I wonder if I could do this mission with just the unsheltered or just the dog.
Wow.
I don't know, but I can do it with both. You know,
You and I both. It is, that's so what makes you say that? What is it about that intersection that makes you come to life, if you will?
because as you know, sometimes the unsheltered are not real responsive. Maybe they don't want to talk. And by having their pet, you're able to make a connection because you're seeing the dog, we're petting the dog, we're asking, and that gives us all something to talk about rather than us going, well, what are you? Have you been working on trying to find a home? Have you, instead of being that, we're being loving with both of them because of their pet. And I like that a lot.
That's such a great point, and I appreciate you saying that. That's kind of like the not so secret goal of the Street Dog Coalition too, is we really view the leash as a lifeline. And it's because, in those moments during our street clinics, because we're able to earn the trust of the animal or earn the trust of their guardian by taking an interest in their animal, that kind of opens up this pathway to learn a bit more about our client, learn a bit more about what our client's needs are, and learn a bit more about how we can help them meet needs beyond the needs that they have with their pet, whether it's getting a haircut, getting mental health counseling, apart from getting a job, because as I'm sure you've learned, a lot of these individuals are looking for a job, probably
Mhm.
looking for a job harder than some of our, deadbeat cousins who have been living on our couch. Um,
Yes.
right? Like having nothing to do with whether or not they have a home, they are looking for a job. So I appreciate what you're saying here in that this relationship that we can kind of build with their animal can sometimes act as like a catalyst for change. And
It
I have
can.
to yeah, and I have to imagine that you find the humor in those situations and in those interactions, and that might also make people feel a bit more comfortable kind of quickly. Have you found your comedy chops to be useful when volunteering, and if so, how?
Well, I do not so much with the clients,
Sure.
but with the other volunteers, we'll always, like, for instance, over the winter, there was this one guy, and he's a big guy, right? And he was always just angry. Him and his dog, he was just always scowling and this and that. And so I asked my friend, I go, what's going on with him? What's the issue? He goes, well, because our street uh, coalitions also have showers and um, hospital help and stuff
Right.
and clothing. Well, he gets mad because he could take a shower. He goes, I am not going to take a shower without clean underwear. Well, a lot of times they didn't have his size. So
Mhm.
her and I always made sure we had some 3
Oh,
and 4X shirt, and we wanted to make sure he had underwear.
yeah.
Well, just this week, we found out, because we hadn't seen him, we just found out that he has a home, he has a job, and he showed up and he had on a t-shirt and jeans, all tucked in, his hair was cut. And we're like, oh my God. And not that we were laughing, making fun of him, but he was just our guy.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And so usually the humor is within what are our ideas, and sometimes it just turns out funny because we needed to always have this big underwear, you know.
That's awesome. That's amazing. It's first of all, like, who wants to shower and put on crusty underwear again?
Exactly.
I mean, this should be a human right. Props to
Exactly.
you for making sure that you had underwear in the right size. And I think it's funny how as volunteers we start to remember the clients that we serve in these really kind of cute, funny, goofy ways, like, oh, that's the guy that needs the very specific underwear. And how cool is it to kind of watch that arc, to watch someone
Oh,
who needed something from you in the past be able to now sustain themselves in this way. That must feel really good.
Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. It's wonderful to see success stories. And there
Mm.
are success stories, they're far and few between, but they're there and everybody is trying to do better. And we kind of have some requirements which require them to be actively working with a social worker and things like that, which helps them also. And so that's also a nice way that we can also connect with them and see how they're doing. But also, I don't, people, I don't know about you. People have a real thing about the homeless. They just do. They just say the crappiest things. And,
Yeah.
I'm a Facebook person and I might put, hey, this is street dog day and all this. Nobody will comment
Hmm.
because they think, oh, well, they can't take care of themselves. How can they take care of their dogs? I mean, that's a typical thing. And are they
Absolutely.
really homeless? And are they this? And are they that? It just blows me away, really, how uncaring. And even people I know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not maybe that they're uncaring, they just don't understand. And that it has helped me understand a lot being part of it.
That's such a great point. And I got to tell you, so often people come on the podcast and they share that same experience in terms of how the people that are in their lives might have these misconceptions about unhoused individuals, clearly because they have not spent much time with unhoused individuals, right? It's always the people who live maybe kind of in fear of interacting with this population of individuals that don't really seem to get it. So it's just interesting to hear you say that. And to me, I've viewed in the past reality TV as a viewer as this kind of like escape from escape from real life. And what's interesting is, we've spoken with people, some of our clients who are fans of reality TV. And I'm saying that because I think it was in Denver once when I was at a Street Dog Coalition clinic where I actually bonded with one of our clients who was there to receive our services over our love of RuPaul's Drag Race. It was it was one of the greatest conversations. They seemed kind of skeptical of us and of our services. And I don't know if they were wearing a Drag Race shirt or if they overheard me talking about Drag Race. They probably overheard me talking about Drag Race because, you know, I spent 20 out of 24 hours of the day talking about RuPaul's Drag Race. So it is just so interesting, as we get on the topic of reality TV, how reality TV has this way of bringing people together who have all different kinds of financial backgrounds, all different kinds of struggles in life. We can kind of unplug for a second and just watch other people fight for their lives in one way or another on TV. So my next question for you is what was your experience like on reality TV, and how did your time on the trust, or did your time on the trust even kind of shape your views on animal companionship or the human animal bond? Because I know the trust was so full of like competition and greed, if you will. What was that experience like, and how did it shape your perspective on the human animal bond?
Okay. It I was by far the oldest. I was the oldest by 18 years. They
The
wanted me
wisest, the
the
most beautiful
wisest.
as well. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, well, and I think they had every generation, right? So
Nice.
I was there. And of course, it was kind of like guess I didn't get the right message because everybody was so glamorous. And I'm there with my Birkenstocks and my Amazon sundresses, and
Yes.
which was fun. But what was odd for me was I think because of my age and the different philosophies of the people I was with, my buttons were so pushed. I mean, just sexism, racism, homophobia, any ism out there was going on because you are literally with each other 24/7 and you have nothing. You have no phone, no TV, nothing. So you're just focusing on what the heck is going on in the house, in
Yeah.
the mansion.
The
So
mansion.
the mansion. So the one thing, of course, we didn't have any animals with us there or anything like that. But my thing became the whales, and the whales is what absolutely helped me keep sane
Wow.
because I have some, I have to take some medicine for depression and things like that. So, I was kind of up and down and going, oh my God, what am I doing here? And then I would see a whale, and that would just be my thank you for coming up and breaching. So
Wow.
everybody knew I was always, and so I don't know if you saw my interview, but one of them was, well, I hope I see some effing whales. And that became my thing. And I did.
Oh,
So I was more in tune with the sea life
that's
than
beautiful.
because we had no animals around.
Right.
But I still got to have passion with something else that wasn't human.
And that must have given you a little bit, I mean, from what I've heard in terms of the reality TV experience, and again, just when I say what I've heard, I mean like listening to podcasts, a few that you've been on, and mostly that RuPaul's Drag Race queens have been on.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
when they talk about the seclusion of being on a reality show, how they're, the support system you're used to, whether it's human or animal, those individuals are just not around. You're really like left with your own thoughts. And I appreciate you, sharing with us that, you struggled with depression too, because from what I've heard, being in that kind of incubator, um, if you don't struggle with depression before you go in there, you might start struggling with it after, because it really, I think, disconnects you from the world that you're so used to living in. So I think it's so beautiful that you had this opportunity to kind of zoom out, get some perspective on the world, remind yourself, I'm just on a show. It'll be over soon. I'm going to get present. I'm going to try to enjoy it while I can. With whales. That's so cool.
yeah, with the whales. We were in the Dominican Republic,
Yeah.
and we couldn't, you are secluded. You weren't allowed to go to the ocean or anything like that, but they were right there, the
Wow.
whales. And so that did help. And I was there for 3 weeks. I made it through 6 episodes. And then I will tell you the after effect of being disappointed of, well, so and so is doing this. Okay, one of the
Mm.
guests is doing this. Another guest I saw on this show. And then all of a sudden, jealousy, and then disappointment, and how come not me? All of these things kept playing really hard with me after the year after. Because you're waiting for the show to come on, and then it comes on, and everybody loves you for about 3 weeks. And then it's like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
it was very it was just really an emotional roller coaster that I
Mm.
didn't expect. But I have one of my friends from the show. Her and I are able to commiserate.
I
So thank
love
God
that.
for her that we get on there. We go, well, what about, did you see this and this? And we do it, and then we get through it, and then we see something else, and we'll do it again. But it's been nice to have come out with a good friend too.
Oh, that's so cool. You don't hear that often. You don't hear that people come
No.
out with a really good friend.
Yeah.
I recently watched House of Villains
Oh,
because, like, I don't know, I just needed some trash TV, and I needed it
yes.
fast, and I needed it now. And I needed to see all the reality TV star troublemakers that I kind of grew up watching, like New York, like Tiffany Pollard.
Yeah.
Those villains get messy. I'm wondering, like,
Oh,
can we get a show for you that's like House of Heroes or something? Well, I guess there'd be no drama, but I would nominate you for House of Heroes.
well, and I have written a few things, and I did this really emotional video because But I actually felt better after I did it. But it was like, is it because I don't have long hair? And then I put a fall on, and I go, is it because I don't have long eyelashes? Well, I don't have, and I have alopecia, and I actually took my hair off. I go, well, I can't do that because I have no hair. And I just went on about, what we're seeing on reality shows, and can
Yeah.
we not show some forms of intelligence in the
Yeah.
women? It's really about the women. I know the
I
men can be
agree.
goofy, but the women, they just make a. So I have been kind of. So have I been asked to be on a smart woman reality show? No,
No, because they don't exist, because
they
women are
don't
just like
exist.
sexualized and poked at and used to start fights in these reality shows.
Yes. Yes. So that was really hard. But you know what? Everybody who knows me knows that
Mm.
I was myself on that show, because some of them said when we were watching it and we knew something was said that you were going to reply, and they said they would go, oh, Jay, don't go, Jay, don't do it. And I
The
did. And they,
claws are coming out.
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know
yeah.
though. You saying that you have alopecia, that you usually wear a wig. You should start considering getting into drag, because you are halfway to being an incredible contestant for RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm
if I
just
could
saying.
look half as gorgeous as them, oh my God, really?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Jay. Okay, you and I need to start our own podcast where we just talk about reality TV.
Oh,
Um,
we could, yes.
but before we do that, and before I let you go, I want to ask
Okay,
you one final question.
okay.
We touched on this a little bit before we hit record, and you already know this question is: how did donating your winnings from the trust, how did it impact your local street dog coalition team?
Oh,
How was it able to help the animals in Topeka?
oh my gosh, it was so cool because our veterinarian is she's an angel. And so she said we were able
Dr.
to.
Allison Crow, big shout out.
Dr. Allison Crow, shout out. And she said they were able to provide boarding and or foster supplies for 8 dogs and 2 cats with the funds. And you know how much boarding, and if you don't have foster, and their owners are incarcerated or in the hospital. And I was so happy to hear that that's where it went. I really was. So it was really nice to hear that.
That is amazing. And I think it's you know, so often you kind of put yourself out there, you make a donation, you hope it's going to go to a good cause. You don't know exactly what it's going to go to help fund or support. So I think that that's such, what you just shared with me is a testament to obviously your generosity, but to our team in Topeka's ability to take the funds that they receive, identify where the greatest need is. And then I'm sure she responded to you so quickly, right?
Oh
In
yeah.
sharing with
Oh
you
my gosh.
the exact purpose that your donation served. So I think that's just it's just a great way for our donors to get a better sense of the impact of their gift. It's one of the benefits of our organization not being a massive organization, right? You can just kind of reach
Right.
out and get an exact sense of where your gift landed. Oh, that is so cool.
And also you benefited too. The national benefits, the local benefits.
That's
I
right.
like all of it. Yeah.
Everybody eats.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Jay, that is amazing. I want to thank you so much for your sense of humor, your kindness, your generosity, for surviving a reality TV show. Like, just I'm living vicariously through you. I'm gonna knock that off my bucket list, even though I was not on the show. But this is enough of a proximity,
Yeah.
for me
Yes.
at least.
Yes. Yes.
And
And I was a little negative talking about it. It was a great experience.
I'm sure.
Netflix was really, and I won some money. I
Yeah.
was going to get kicked off, and I did, and I would have gotten no money, but luckily I won some money. So yeah,
Yes. You held on for long enough to
I did.
to
I
collect your earnings and to use those earnings for for the greater good. And I know I thanked you extensively before we hit record, but I really want to thank you again so much, Jay, for all that you do to make the world a more compassionate place for animals. I know you've donated your time, which is honestly invaluable. Now you've made this gift to the Topeka team. And, like I said, we would not be the organization that we are without the support and the enthusiasm and the laughter of individuals like you. So you really are such a beautiful window into the donors that we have at the Street Dog Coalition, the volunteers that we have. And I want to thank you so much for giving us, a taste of Hollywood. I knew you'd like that by coming on the podcast. And of course, for your support. It means the world to us. And we just want to thank you, Jay.
You are so welcome, and this was so great. And thank you for really appreciating and having me on this podcast. This is great fun. I love you.
Oh my God, we love you so much, Jay. And I can't wait to send you a recording of this episode so you can share it with your folks as well. And to our audience who's tuning in, of course, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you are tuning in from Topeka and you want to get involved with our Topeka team, I want to encourage you to go to the streetdogcoalition.org and check out our list of teams. Click on Topeka and you will learn a little bit more about Dr. Allison Crow. You'll learn a bit more about when we host our street clinics in Topeka, and you'll also have the opportunity to sign up to volunteer. It would be so, so, so great, I think, to use this podcast episode to inspire individuals, comedians, philanthropists, whoever you are, wherever you are, to get more involved in the Street Dog Coalition by volunteering. Especially our Topeka team is one of our, I think, most active teams and one of our most impactful teams. And that is, of course, for many reasons, but one of the big reasons, Jay, is I'm gonna hand it to you. You're really fantastic, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
You're
you. Hi,
so
everybody.
welcome. Adios, Jay. Thank you. Until next time.
Okay, babe.
We're gonna
Thank
do our
you.
our spin-off series. It's gonna be
Okay,
great.
yes, yes. Okay.
Adios, Jay. Thank
Adios,
you.
babe. All right, bye-bye.